Hey you guys, it's WhatAGreatDai here with a tutorial on how to download and set up your Reshade. This is something that you do not need to use to play your Sims game, but it does add so much more depth and just overall it improves the looks of the Sims 4. As you can see with my pictures, that nice shadow, we will talk about how to get that nice shadow. But I first want to start off by shouting out Coley, aka Tiptoe Sims. This is her tutorial. I'm just showing you step by step how to do it, but this is the tutorial right here that was the one that got me to be able to actually use and install Reshade in my game. I've tried countless other YouTube videos, just straight out written instructions. Nothing had worked for me, but Coley came in for the rescue, so shout out to her. I also want to shout out Shroom God here. He is the one that helped me to get that MXAO setting just right, that nice little under chin shadow and shadow in depth in the backgrounds and on the clothes. Without him, I would not have gotten it right. So shout out to Shroom Boy, and again, I'll be linking their Twitters and the other people that I mentioned, their Twitters in the description. Shout out to Tim Sims because he suggested which Reshade installer to actually use. That one has been the easiest one for me that I have used so far, so shout out to him for that. And I just want you guys to know that he will be coming out with a Reshade soon, so go ahead and follow him over on Twitter so you don't miss out on that. And last but not least, I want to shout out Brixie Pay because they were the ones that informed me that I do not always need to tweak or change anything whenever I download a new Reshade preset. I was scrolling through and then I saw this beautiful sim by this person, so I had to like it and reshare. So shout out to this person too. Just going to retweet their thing real quick. But again, Brixie is the one that told me that I did not need to always change everything, and usually when you drop it in, it should be good to go, and you just tweak it depending on how you want your Reshade to look for you. So let's go ahead and get started on this. For this tutorial, I am going to use the Reshade 4.7. This is a file box that has all of the reshades or previous reshades. I will link it just in case you want to use a different preshade, but I am using 4.7. So here we are going to go download it. I'm clicking on the Reshade. It's taking me to MediaFire. You're just gonna simply download that like you would anything else. You might get a pop-up, you might not. Just exit out of it. It's just an ad for something. But now we're going to go over to our download section on our computer, and you should have it in your download section. That's where it should have downloaded to, but now we're going to install it. So you're just going to double click it, you're going to get a pop-up, and you're going to click run. This is just downloading like any other thing. Once you get to this pop-up, you're going to click that box right there in the middle because we need to select Sims 4 for it to actually download into our Sims game. So you should be able to browse and find your Sims game by going to your program setting times 86, I believe, and then your origin games, then the Sims 4, and then you need to end up in your bin file, you guys. So that is where we're going to be. If you cannot find that, all you have to do is find your Sims 4 game icon, right click on the Sims 4 title and open up your properties, and then you should be able to see that bin file location right there. So you want to copy and paste it into that file name location where we're just at. So here you see me copy, you exit out of that, put it in that file name, paste it, and then you should be able to open it that way and it will take you to your bin file. But doing it step by step as well should also work, but you just need to make sure you're in the bin file where you see that TS4 underscore X64. You're going to select that and open it up, and so now we see we are installing it. Next thing you want to do is click on the direct 9, the very first circle. That is what we are using, so you're going to click that and it should ask if you want to install it, but here you see that I have uninstall or update because I already have it installed on my computer. So I'm just going to click update so you can see what you're going to see next, which is all of these shaders what you need to do is make sure you check every single box, you guys. You need to click every single box. Just go ahead and make it easy for yourself. Click everything. Some Reshade presets have different needs and different shaders that you will need to download. So instead of downloading them all specifically, just go ahead and download them all. Next, you're going to get all of these pop-up boxes for those different shaders that we just clicked on. Just click everything. Make sure everything is checked, click OK. Make sure everything is checked, click OK. And you're going to be doing this for about maybe 8 or so screens. So just make sure every single box, I cannot stress this enough, make sure every single box is checked and click OK. So you're going to go through that for a while. Some of these, I forget which one, because of my Reshade installer, they are uncompatible now, so you may get an error code, like a little red error code, once we get into game, but don't worry about that. So once we've installed Reshade, once you click through all of those things, it should come up with a pop-up box that Reshade is installed. Now we're going to find our Reshade preset. I'm going to use the Reshade preset Bright. This is the one from Coley's tutorial, and it's the one that I fell in love with. It makes everything bright and nice. It's vibrant. It looks good. So this one is by Gabe. I will also link it in the description. But it is my favorite one. So we're going to use that. You're just going to find whatever Reshade preset that you would like. Just make sure you read the description. Sometimes the creator will have certain instructions, certain shaders that you must have, certain settings that you have to turn on and off. So just make sure you read through that carefully and you understand exactly what you're putting into your game, you guys. But this one, the biggest thing is about using MXAO and having the edge smoothing off and the post-processing setting turned off as well. But we will talk about that later. But just make sure, I cannot stress this enough, make sure you read and look and see what you're actually putting into your game. Some of these presets are not gameplay compatible. They will make your game laggy if your computer is not up for that challenge and all of that that effort that you have to put into downloading. Just be careful. It might not run well, but this one is gameplay compatible. It's great for screenshots, it's great for gameplay. Some of them are solely for screenshots, some of them are solely for cast screenshots as well, so just be careful. But we're going to go over to the Patreon. You're going to click that very first one. It ends in a .ini file, so just make sure you're downloading the correct thing. Next, we're going to go back over to our download file, and you should see it. It's a configuration file. Just make sure you downloaded the correct thing. Again, presets always end in .ini. Now you see me going back to my properties and opening up the file location, just because it's the easiest way to get to my bin file personally. But we are going to drag and drop that configuration file into our bin file, exactly where we clicked on the TS4 application setting. That's exactly where you need to put this Reshade at, you guys. So just open up your properties and you should automatically see that file location in there. Again, it's the bin file and is exactly where we clicked on the TS4 application setting in order to install Reshade. Again, you're just dragging and dropping from your downloads to that bin file. Yours shouldn't be as cluttered as mine if this is your first time downloading Reshade, but I have a couple in there. So now you can open up your game because you have installed a reshader preset. So here we are. Now you can see my Reshade is on, and then you can see my Reshade is off. The first time you open up your game with Reshade, you should see some gray boxes up in the top corners, like some lines that are installing Reshade or whatever. So don't be alarmed. Next, you can open up your home or press the home key that will open up this overlay setting right here. Once you click that line up at the top, that is where you'll select the reshade that you want to use. And this right here, that red thing right there, is what I was talking about earlier with the out-of-date shaders, depending on which reshade installer you have, you guys. Again, it's nothing to worry about because it's nothing that I typically use. So if it pops up, don't worry about it. But here you can see I have a couple of reshade presets. Again, we are using the brightest pre-shade by Gabe here, and these are all the different things that can change and impact how your reshade looks depending on your personal taste. Here you can see me looking over the MXAO setting. The Quint setting is the one that I personally do not use anymore. Shroom God actually informed me that it's the one that makes things a little bit more grainy, your shadows it makes it darker and makes it a little bit more grainy and pixelated depending on how your settings are. So I do not use it. I always unclick it, but we use the plain MXAO. Now we're going to go to the global processing section. Here is where, if you're going to use MXAO, let alone the Quint one, you want to change your reverse setting right here from a 0 to a 1. This will change how your MXAO looks. It makes it a little bit darker. Again, it's the input is reversed section. As you can see, it made it a whole lot darker. But if you like that look, we also have a way of changing that as well. If you click and unclick on the MXAO, either one, it will bring you to the settings specifically for that under the global processor. As you can see, I turned it off though. To me, it just looks a lot more smoother. It makes the gameplay a lot more brighter without the Quint MXAO and just using the regular MXAO. But down below that global processing section where we were just at, you can change the setting. I'm going to talk about it for the regular MXAO, but you can change that setting for the Quint MXAO if you would like. But here I am just trying to get a decent screenshot look so that I can test the way the MXAO looks. This is what you want to do. You want to find a really good shot so you can see the difference of which settings you're using. But right now I unclicked MXAO, the regular one, and re-clicked it, and I'm going to show you how to get that nice shadow look under the chin and in-depth shadows on the plants and trees and other aspects of the game. And it's going to be in the ambiance setting right there. You're just going to move that slider up and down to make it darker, to make it lighter, and then the AO gamma right underneath it improves that darkness or lightness even more, depending, and the harshness of that actual shadow even more. So you want to play around with those so you can see exactly how you want it and how it fits for you, you guys. So again, those two things are something that I cannot tell you exactly where to put it. It's all about your personal preference and about how your game looks. So now I'm just going to go outside to show you a little bit. Again, I have that reverse setting set at 1, so that's why everything looks so dark. Also, it's very gloomy outside for my sim. The sun is not out at all, but here, as you can see, I'm changing it from a 1 back to a 0 just because I prefer the lighter look. I do not like the harshness of the 1 setting. So, and you can see the clear difference whenever you change it from a 0 to a 1. Also, my MXAO Quint one has rechecked itself, so I'm just gonna uncheck it because personally I don't like that harshness look of the shadow. Some people do. It looks really good in certain people's screenshots, but it's not for me. So I'm just gonna unclick and re-click MXAO so I can change that ambient setting and the AO gamma setting to fit exactly how I want. As you can see down on those bushes right there, as you change it, it changes the harshness of the shadow. And you can just play around with that to be exactly how you want. I think that right there is perfect for me. So I'm going to go back to my sim just to see how it looks on him, because the way it looks outside on the shadows, it's different for your sim though. But I think it looks good. As you can see, I still have that nice little under chin shadow. And as I mentioned previously, when we were looking at the actual tumbler for the Reshade preset, you need to make sure your edge smoothing is off if you're going to use MXAO. Gabe also mentioned that you should have off post-processing effects. I personally do not. As you can see, I don't keep it off, but if that's what you want to do, you can. But I don't. I just make sure that my edge smoothing is off because I constantly have MXAO on. If you're not going to have MXAO on constantly, then you can turn it off. But keep in heads up, because Tim Sims is actually coming out with a Reshade where you can have edge smoothing off and on, you can have edge smoothing on and still have that nice shadow effect under the chin. So I'm very excited for that. So you want to go ahead and follow him on Twitter just so you could be in the know whenever he releases that. But look at that, you guys. We have that nice little under chin shadow. We have the nice shadows in the on the couch, in our scenery and everything. So now we're gonna go over into cast so you can see how it looks even more close up and in cast. Here we are in cast, you guys, and this is where I usually tweak my my ambiance setting and my gamma setting just to have a little bit more harshness. Here I am again, just taking off MXAO Quint and making sure that I click and unclick MXAO so I can go directly to that setting instead of scrolling. I'm going to show you what the one looks like with MXAO on. It just makes everything incredibly dark. The shadows, it makes them a little bit more vintage looking almost, but again, that's not something for me, so I'm gonna end up turning it back off, the one, turning it back to a 0. But regardless of what you do, it's all up to you. Some people like that more in-depth look. I just prefer MXAO off because it's incredibly harsh in my opinion. The shadows, I prefer the more smooth shadows here. But now I'm going to show you about these settings and how to do your keybinds. So you're going to make sure you click that home screen and go up to your settings there, and this is where you will set your keybinds, you guys. So the first one is the home button that turns that overlay on and off. You want to just make sure that you remember that because you're going to need it whenever you want to edit your Reshade preset, edit the MXAO, or even change the preset. The next one you want to learn is how to turn the whole Reshade preset on and off. It's defaulted at Shift End, and that's what I keep mine on. As you can see, I'm turning it on and off, so you're able to do that in game without uninstalling it. So Shift in, but you can always change it up to be whatever you want it to be. The next thing you want to pay attention to is where your screenshots are at. That's right below. Right there is where your screenshot settings are at. I have my keybind set as C. Coley doesn't suggest that. A lot of people actually don't suggest that, but I prefer it because I don't like to remember what my, like, if I set it as anything else. I prefer C, but keep in mind, if you put it as C, you will be taking Reshade screenshots and regular in-game screenshots. So you will have plenty of screenshots in your game files, so just be careful with that. You're gonna have to remember to continuously delete those, you guys, if you set it as C. So I just highly recommend go ahead and setting it as something else, but keep in mind, if it's a key that you often use with your cheats, every time you type that key you will be taking a screenshot. So if I do cast.full edit mode or anything else with the letter C and the cheat, I do take a screenshot. So that's all up to me, and that's my personal preference. The next thing you want to do is put your path for your screenshots as something new. I have mine set as a desktop folder. So what I did, I just made a desktop folder, opened up the properties of it just like you did for your Sims game, and then copied that file location and pasted it in there. So every time I take a screenshot, my Reshade screenshots will go directly there. The last thing on this page you want to pay attention to is the screenshot format. Coley suggests putting it as a JPEG. I have mine as a PNG because of this Reshade installer, it did not come with the JPEG, but PNG is quite fine. It works well. My screenshots always turn out just fine. Again, you want to press that little toolbar, excuse me, oh my god, I cannot speak, that toolbar up at the top in order to click on different reshape presets should you download any more, you guys, and you could change and alter them just like how we did for this one. So the next thing I want to talk about is the DOF or ADOF, and that is the blurring setting. I am over here trying to just click and show you guys again the difference between the MXAO on and off, but now we're going to go into the DOF or the ADOF, and that is the blurring in the background. It will focus on whatever object or sim is in front of the camera, and then everything behind it will blur, as you can see. It's such a great tool for screenshots and pictures, and it just adds a lot more in depth. And usually whenever I go from one like the creative sim aspect to back to in-game, sometimes my MXAO will click, or Quint MXAO will re-click itself, so I do have to go in and uncheck it, but you might not have to do that, so just keep an eye out for that just in case. But to show you the DOF or the ADOF, I'm just taking my sim outside, hoping that the sun will come out in a little bit. It doesn't. It's a very gloomy day, but here I am just adjusting the gamma and the ambiance setting just a little bit, just to tweak it to be how I want it. Again, you want to do it for you and how you want your game to look. Here I am hoping that the sun comes out again, and it doesn't. It just barely comes out. But I'm going to show you the ADOF setting, and now it's going to change that background to a little bit more blurry. Again, this is really good for storytelling, for screenshots, really anything. But here you can see that my sim is in focus in the front, and then the background was blurred up. But it's just like a real life camera, you guys. You have to move it around, zoom in and zoom out to make that background blur just right for you and how you want it. So I'll show you again over here how I zoomed out and zoomed back in, and my sim is in the front. Here we go again. Everything in the back is still in focus. I zoomed out a little bit for it to be unfocused and blurry, and I zoomed back in where my sim is in the front, and he is the one that is perfectly clear while the background is blurry. And I hope that this tutorial helped you guys. You know, and then you want to make sure you turn that on and off, because if you click something like an action for your sim, it will still remain blurry. So just beware of that, you guys. But that is pretty much it. That is how you download your Reshade and your Reshade presets, and you set it up, and how you get that nice shadow effect under the chin and in depth in the background and everything. So I hope that all helped you guys. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else that I do in The Sims that you want to learn more about, or even about streaming or recording for YouTube, and I will be happy to help you. But let me know if there's anything else that wasn't clear, or something else you want me to explain, or anything that you just want me to show off for you. Again, this is solely for The Sims. PC players, unfortunately, it's not for console. And there you see me again, just turning it on and off so you can see the difference. It's a big difference. Once you do Reshade, you probably won't go back. Anyways, I love you guys so much. Have a great day. Bye.